guys, we're just going over our 1961 Impala build. Picked up a little bubble top, pulled it off the frame, powder coated it. We decided to go with the Ride-Tech coilover. So it's pretty much a nice bolt-in kit. You got your lower arms here, coilovers. It has 2 bolts you got to drill out here for the upper spring coilover mount. Real easy, simple kit. We did the Global West upper brace kit here just for more rigidity. This car originally only came with 1 upper trailing arm. We went ahead and got the Global West additional bracket to add, so it'll be a true 4-link. We bolted it on there. We'll get the rest done later on today. We went ahead and did the Global West frame braces here. It's a simple 3-bolt on here. You actually got to weld it on the frame here on both sides, but it is a bolt on a weld here. Now what we're working on is the Ride-Tech rear sway bar. It's a fairly simple kit. They give you nut inserts. You're gonna have to drill 5 holes per side and some measurements. So we're gonna finish up that today on video. We did the drop down panhard locating bar, Global West bracket there. It's a weld on kit. So we pretty much purchased everything you could buy for an Impala out there in the aftermarket world, pro touring, and starting building this car. So we'll go there and you can watch the rest of it. We'll start later next week and show you the front stuff going in, but we're going to go with an LS3 4L60 in this car. If you look underneath right now, we sandblasted the whole bottom. We went ahead and did the Raptor tintable bed liner. We've got about 70 hours underneath here, cleaning it, seam sealing the whole bottom, sealed it, and then we added 2 ounces of color to the Raptor tintable bed liner, and we sprayed this, and it turned out really well. You can take a look. We did it from the firewall pinch weld here all the way back, so that's what we hope to stick this underneath there and get going on it. So you guys can watch the rest of this build on this 61 Impala. So yeah, we're going ahead and installing the Ride-Tech rear sway bar, their muscle bar kit. So first off, they want you to measure from this mounting flange here of the factory frame over 7 inches and 1/8 to the beginning of this bracket. So we went ahead and did that. Clamped the Ride-Tech bracket to the frame here and center punched all my holes. So now I'll go through and I'll just drill a nice pilot hole. Now I can go ahead and remove this bracket, and then they provided you a drill bit because they want you to do some nut inserts into the frame. So they provided you with this drill bit. So we'll go ahead and open these up. All right, we got the holes drilled. So now it's time to install the Nut Certs. There's 5 total. And they want you to install that in the factory frame. So we'll go ahead and install those now. So we'll go ahead and bolt this bracket back up, and then we'll mark and drill our bottom 2 holes. Okay, so I'm bolting this up. All frames are, these frames are 40 years old, so Ride-Tech gives you a pretty good idea where it needs to go, but you'll see there's a gap here on the lower bolts, and I'm pushed up as far as I can. You definitely don't want to put the nut insert in here and try and use that to close the gap and pull this piece of metal, because the nut inserts are not that strong. So I'll show you one method in how to bend this bracket in just a simple basic vise. So just come with me. So it's just as simple as mount the actual piece in your vise. If you have a big crescent wrench or a big pipe wrench, Just go ahead and put it here on the actual ear and just give it a little push down. You'd be surprised how much it'll move, just that little bit. So now we should have the angle that we need, and this will sit flat to the bottom of the frame. Again, do not try and use the bolt and force it with the nut insert. You will actually pull the nut insert out of the frame. All right, we're gonna go ahead and install the hardware now so we can drill our 2 bottom bolts and then get this all installed. All right, we went ahead and installed the 5 bolts that hold the mount on for the left and right side. Now we're going to go ahead and put the end links on and go ahead and tighten all this up. They provide you with all the hardware, but I like to put a little anti-seize on all my adjustments and bolts. So you got to put this little lock nut, or this little, yeah, it'll be the fastener nut once you get your height all set. And again, they wanted this at 2 3/4 inches from center to center. Okay, the end links are done and the brackets are installed to the factory frame. Now we'll go ahead and make sure that the sway bar is centered in here and level across the back. Then we'll go ahead and tighten up the U-bolts that go around the rear axle, and that will be the end of our rear sway bar installation. Again, on all these 3/8 hardware, you want to make sure and torque it per specs. Rytec says 30 foot-pounds, so we'll go ahead and check all these mounting hardware. Okay, now that all those are torqued, now we need to make sure that the sway bar is centered in the rear axle. But you also want to make sure that the rear axle is centered in the car. We're going to just go ahead and use a straight edge against the axle, and then we'll do the other side. I already did this when I set up the 4-link, so I know it's centered in the car, but I'm just going to show you how you can measure it to make sure. So just find a flat surface and pick the same point on both ends of the car. So now that I know my rear end is centered in the car, now I need to make sure my sway bar is centered on the rear axle and in the car. So I take a couple measurements off of that as well, so you can go off any fixed point and make sure that you are centered in the car, which I already measured while we were on break. So now that it's centered in the car, now I can go ahead and tighten up my. These are the 7/16 U-bolts that go across the rear axle. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up. These are torqued to 50 foot-pounds. We'll go ahead and do that. And then the final step will be, they give you some lock retainers for this sway bar bushing. Install those, and then our rear sway bar is done. So we'll go ahead and tighten these up now. All right, so just go ahead and always remember to tighten these up evenly. If you just try and run one down, you will just pull the U-bolt around. So just kind of make sure they're even threads. So these go to 55 foot-pounds. We just torqued down the U-bolts. So now the final step is, it says it wants you to install the bushing retainer on the outside of the sway bar. lastly, we'll just make sure our end links are good and tight. All right, so lastly, we'll just make sure our jam nut is tight here, which just tightens up the two links together. Once you drive it down the road, you can adjust this. This is like a normal setting. If you want to get a little bit more aggressive rear sway bar, all you have to do is loosen this bottom stud, move it over into the middle hole, and that'll get a little bit more aggressive. And then you can go to this the last hole here to be super aggressive. Ridetech recommends you move one at a time. Don't jump from here to here, and just see which one you like the best. We're going to go ahead and set this Impala up at the normal setting, and once we're all said and done and driving it, then we'll fine tune it from there. But so that pretty much wraps up our rear. We got the panhard bar, the centering bar to install from Ridetech. And then we ordered some Bear brakes, the track 4s, front and rear for this thing. We had them powder coat the calipers blue to match the car. Those should be here this week. All right, guys, thanks. We got the rear Ridetech sway bar all done. Real quick overview, we did the Global West frame supports, welded in, the Global West upper bracket, the Ridetech 4-link coilover stuff, the Global West relocation drop down panhard bar. We still have to do the panhard bar, and we're actually going to add the additional trailing arm for the driver's side. So we'll do that tomorrow. So anything that you guys want questions on, again, this should be the same from 58 to 64 Impala. If you guys have any detailed questions or anything, let us know. Our next build we're going to start on and kind of show some videos on is the 69 Camaro. We're doing the DSE front suspension, DSE Quadrolink, pretty much everything DSE sells and offers. Mini tubs, subframe connectors, the Kindig door handles. We're going to do all that and kind of show it on the video on a more of a how-to. That one's going to have a 427 RHX twin turbo engine in that one. We're also going to be doing a 65 Lincoln Continental convertible. We just put an LS3 in that, smooth the engine bay. We're going to be putting all Ridetech air ride suspension on it and finishing up that build. So stay tuned. If you have any LS questions or we've done a lot of 69 Camaros, first gen Camaros with all the DSE LS stuff. We're going to, on this Impala, we're going to install the PSI standalone engine wiring harness. That'll be next week, so stay tuned for that. We'll pretty much walk you through installing a complete PSI wiring harness for these LS engines to go in any of the hot rods. So we'll do a nice video for that on a how-to. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot it in the comments, like our page, and just stay tuned for the rest of the builds and follow us. Thanks.